Michael, we've talked about all sorts of stuff, and now it's the time of the show where we talk about fighting games, and you're the fighting game expert. You should talk about stuff.
Well, so I guess speaking of publishers, I feel like when we look at esports, we obviously think of the larger games. You can go to esports.yahoo.com and look at the vertical. We have Street Fighter, League of Legends, Dota, Hearthstone, and I'm wondering with these games, these huge games, large audiences for the most part, if it makes it harder for some of these smaller games and smaller communities to grow. I think going back to publishers, throwing money at a game isn't always the right thing. When we look at esports, especially recent esports games and I guess leagues popping up, starting $1 million tournament to me doesn't always seem like the right thing to help a scene grow. On the other hand, you have smaller scenes like the FGC that have a hard time getting exposure, and sometimes money's what it takes. But when we talk about Street Fighter and Smash, these games are so popular and they have such huge audiences that it's hard for other scenes to get this exposure that they want and probably should have. So I guess my question then becomes, are major esports, the biggest esports, smothering all of these other games in esports, making it hard for them to sort of grow or even exist?
This is a fascinating question to me. I'm really interested in everyone's take on this. For me, I have so many different thoughts. I mean, for one, I think part of the reason StarCraft died, among a number of different reasons, is because League of Legends rose up.
Sure.
A lot of people that were interested in StarCraft, like myself, started watching League and got less interested in StarCraft. On the other hand, I look at a game like Street Fighter, and I feel like there is a lot of potential for that game to be much bigger than it is. We'll discuss a little bit more, but whenever we get a couple minutes in, I'm going to throw a question out here. We'll see. But I mean, what is everybody else's opinion first?
I was going to say no. I think, I'm leaning more towards the no, although you raise good points as well. But I feel like it's possible to be fans of multiple esports. Like it's possible.
It's really hard though.
It is, but you can have room to follow 2 or 3 of your favorite games. And we have people on the team who already do that.
Well, I mean, granted, that is our job.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's convenient when you have 40 hours a week to do it.
Yeah,
and you're getting paid to do that, yeah.
For the problem here is that the esports audience is big, but it's not so big that there is. I'm not sure there is room for that because it requires. I mean, you think about how long it takes to get into Dota. Think about how long it takes to get into Counter-Strike in order to become competent to a level that you can truly understand the game as an esports fan. A lot of people aren't willing to put in that time. They sort of get their one game and they say, okay, Street Fighter is my game. League of Legends is my game. This is the one thing that I watch, and this is the one thing that I play. And I think because those audiences are so big, I think that does make it so it makes it really difficult for another game to break in. Because outside of Justin Wong, who's going to play 4 different fighting games, who has time?
Yeah, here's a good way to pose this question. If Dota and League of Legends did not exist, would Heroes of the Storm and Vainglory be more successful? And another version is, if CSGO and Call of Duty did not exist, would Gears of War and Halo be more successful?
I don't think so. I think...
What about the first one, then?
The first one, I don't know what Vainglory is. I'm assuming it's some sort of MOBA.
It's a mobile MOBA.
Oh, you just proved my
mobile
point.
Game.
You would probably know what it is if League and Dota didn't exist.
Are we sure about that?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a tough one. I guess those audiences would have to seek entertainment elsewhere. Maybe StarCraft would still be alive even.
Yeah.
But
I think part of the interesting to me about your question is when we think about some of these games, like CSGO's been around forever. Street Fighter has been around forever. The MOBA's not maybe so much, but I guess maybe the roots in like Dota, it's been around for a while. So if they weren't around, I feel like something would take its place. So whether that's Gears of War 4 or Rainbow Six, which is trying, Ubisoft's trying esports really for the first time. Some of these other games like you said, Heroes, Paladins, I don't know. There's just a list of games out there that want to be, I guess, quote unquote, esports. And it's just hard for them to, I think, to find that their footing in that space. Fighting games, same thing. King of Fighters 4, all these new Tekken 7 and Overwatch are interesting to me because here's a couple new games or newer games that I think are going to try to fill some sort of void or try to fill that space, and I guess be esports, but it remains to be seen sort of how successful they are.
I mean, I think Overwatch is sort of the example of a game that, hey, maybe this is the counterexample to the idea that
Right.
the games get smothered out, because Overwatch already, as we can see, has a pretty big audience. I mean, granted, it's a Blizzard game, so Blizzard games by definition have an audience because it says Blizzard Entertainment on there. But like, I think that if Overwatch manages to succeed and manages to gain a really big audience, then it might prove that, hey, there is actually
Okay,
space
so
for
let
more
me
esports.
cut in. We're running out of time, but I have a really good example of what you're talking about. To take it to a higher level, the counter argument to what we're all saying right now, and maybe we're doing a disservice by arguing against ourselves, but a good esport, I think, should be able to overcome, a really good esport should be able to overcome these entrenched audiences. And I'll give you a theoretical example, a prediction I'm going to make right now on the show. Street Fighter has been around forever, right?
Yeah.
Smash is very big as well.
Sure.
Whenever Riot comes out with, and we all know they're making a fighting game, I predict that game will be more of a bigger esport within the first year and a half than Street Fighter or Smash.
That's
Okay, big call. That's a big call.
I don't-
I don't
Huge.
disagree just because you have Riot backing it.
Yeah, and I mean, and so that's kind of the point, right? Is that
don't
like
want
if you
that to be
have
true.
if you have a good company or a big company or you have a good game,
And they have the IP.
Yeah.
it
as
hurts
well.
my heart.
Yeah.
So either way, we'll see. But we'll do a tilted episode whenever I am right, and I'll rub it in all your guys' faces.